the students will be required to be searched when entering the exam room. So there will be body search. So you find security officers, men and women. So there is nothing like, no, will be searched, every one of us. And lastly, but not the least, no cell phones will be allowed in an exam room. It's either you leave it home or it's supposed to be packed very far where we cannot even see it. These policies, please, are supposed to be taken seriously, or else we don't want anyone to cry foul. It's not personal, it's just the policies. In conclusion, let me take a moment and talk about those of us who did not do well in an exam. Like I said, things are not the way they seem to be, but they are what we call them. So depending on what you call it, that's the way it's going to be. Because there is actually nothing like failing. Do you know that? There is no failing, there is only giving up. No one has ever failed, but they just gave up. So those people we call winners were simply losers who refused to quit. And that's why they are winners. So winners were failures, but they refused to quit, and that's why they are winners. The reason is very simple. Because you cannot determine and control all the circumstances around you. You can't control what happens around you. But you can absolutely control how to feel and how to think about absolutely whatever happens around you. And that's where your power lies. No one controls what happens around them, but you can control how to feel and how to think about it. And that changes everything from that moment. So we need to think seriously for those of us that every semester you have to fail one course and redo the other. Others have been actually having a lot of arrears I don't even know. ICU is not going to bend and allow you to graduate until you satisfy all the requirements that you need to. And we are not going to be tired of marking you wrong, let me promise you. But we need to think seriously. As an institution, we are thinking the way to improve and even to help you better. You should also take a moment and think deeply about what you really want to do. Last academic residential, Dr. Slumbe talked about a blueprint. Maybe we need to learn something from an eagle. An eagle is a wonder bird. Do you know that when storm comes, all the birds run to their nest except an eagle? It begins to go up facing the storm until it goes above the storm. That's an eagle. You never see an eagle running to a nest. It goes and faces the storm until it begins to fly above the storm. The second thing you can learn from an eagle is that, do you know that it's actually one of the longest birds, the longest living birds among the birds? An eagle can live for 70 years. But in order to do that, the eagle has to make drastic decisions. When it turns 40, the talons, they become blunt and old, so it cannot catch the prey. The beak bends inwardly so much that it can't even eat. And the feathers become stuck to the body that it can't fly. So the eagle remains with only two options: to die or to go through a process of transformation. If it chooses the latter, it flies to the peak of the mountain, and it's always the tallest mountain in that area. It sits on top on the rock, and it gashes the beak until it breaks the old one and waits for the new one to grow, and it's bloody. Then it gashes the talons on the rocks until the old ones are scraped out. It's also bloody, and wait for the new ones. Then afterwards, it will unpluck all the feathers and wait for the new ones to grow. And after that, then it can take its flight of rebirth. And that process takes 150 days. So maybe we need to think deeply what is not working about us academically. What are the talons that are not working? Maybe the beak. What do you need to break about yourself in order to go and get what you want? Thank you very much. Could you allow me to put on the other? Okay, please. Thank you very much. And before I call Madam Daka, let me just make some few announcements, just two. Then I'll make the other ones. For those ones who did not clear the exams, please, the makeup exams will be on the 13th to 17th of October at ZRDC there. 13th to 17th of October. We are not going to allow any makeup exams during the normal examination period. So please take that one as an official date. And allow me now to call Madam Daka to, when it comes to things like, food in the house and all that, the managers are our women, isn't it? So I don't want to talk about finances and money when I'm not the one who is in charge. May I call Madam Daka to come and talk about the finances on how to make the payments and all the others that you need to know. Madam Daka, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to make a clarification on payments. We all understand that we have to make our payments through the bank. But for this event, we are going to allow you to make payments in cash, just in case you haven't done so. So we have formed an information desk just at the School of Engineering. So you can come there and then make your payments from there. And then I'm going to make an emphasis on those that haven't paid. Please make sure you visit our information desk, because we might pass through the classes and check if you have paid or not. And we wouldn't want to ask you to come out of a class in the midst of a lesson. So it's better you come and make your payments at the information desk. The procedure as usual, if you have already made payments through the bank, would request you to at least bring in your deposit slip, that is for either registration or residential payments. You bring in your deposit slip, we make sure that we see it. And then if you haven't paid, you come and pay, we'll issue out a receipt, of which after residential or any time, if you have time, if you are free, you can scan it and send it to accounts at ICU Zambia.net. So all payments are supposed to be, all receipts are supposed to be sent to accounts at ICU Zambia.net. And those of you that sometimes you complain to say you haven't received an acknowledgement after you have sent your deposit slip, please, you can also forward the same mail to icuzambia@gmail.com, and then you receive your acknowledgement. I think that's all that I have for now. So make sure that you make your payments through the information desk, and then any queries concerning exams, registration, you can still visit us at the information desk. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Daka. I always have a saying when you come for residential. I say you come as stones that are very rough. You know that, eh? So what we are doing, we are going to put you in a sack and begin to shake them. But we are seeing that there are some stones that are so hard that even after the period of 3.5 semesters, you remove it, is still not. So what we are going to do is that we will throw you back in the sack and continue. Until when you are smooth and you are ready, that's when you are going to graduate. And that is very serious. If it means not holding a graduation, you are not going to do that. We are going to do that. Until we see that others, you are ready to graduate. We are not ready to send people out there half-baked. Not our names shall be dragged in mud. None of our names. And because of this, we know that especially for the first years, you don't even know what to do about the assignments. How do you answer? How do you quote? So I'm going to ask Mr. Piri William to help us understand academic writing just in brief. I know that he may not exhaust everything, but just in brief, so that we can understand what we are supposed to do when handling assignments. So, could you come through, please?
Dr. Surumbe, the coordinator, senior lecturers, members of staff, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As earlier stated, life is a journey. We are moving. It is a journey. And the training, it has got its own challenges. Wherever you go, training has got its own challenges. It depends on how you transform those challenges into opportunities. So sometimes when I hear students complaining, no, there is this and that, there is this and that, it's part of training. It's part of training so that we develop endurance. We develop perseverance. You heard the story about the eagle. So only those who endure up to the end, they are the ones who are going to graduate. So it's a journey. It's a journey. Those who are feeble, they will actually fall off on the way. And you have got no one to blame. You have to blame yourself. Even on academic performance, those of you who did not do well, don't apportion the blame to any other person. Sit down, think, reflect, and accept. Take the responsibility, and then you'll be able to move forward. I'm going to briefly talk about academic writing. And an emphasis has been made, say, mostly to the first years. Okay? Let me also extend this even to the returning students. Because sometimes when we are marking your assignments, sometimes you wonder. Okay? So don't just say, no, I think this is just for the first years. No, even the returning students, you can actually benefit from this. As I've said, training, or when you actually begin your program, is actually a journey. And there are rules. You have to follow the system. You don't just do things the way you want them to do. You have to follow the procedures. There are rules. There are rules that you are supposed to follow. So, how do you write an academic paper? You are not going to begin to tell us stories. There is nothing like storytelling. It's an academic paper which is going to be scrutinized by others. In other words, it's a public paper. It's a public document. I normally, like my students, I normally tell them to say, education is not like witchcraft, where you have to do some hide and seek. No, it's something that is plain. That's where we are able to share ideas. We are able to share materials. We are able to do this and that. So there should be a system that we are going to follow, okay, when writing the academic papers. Okay, so I will talk about the referencing. How do you reference? Okay, a good student always will take something. Why do we make reference to whatever we are doing? Why do we make references? One, it actually gives authenticity. It authenticates your work. To say the ideas that I'm bringing out, they are not just my own. They have been backed by others who have also written about the particular idea. Okay, so it gives you some authority of some kind to argue. Okay, so quickly, which are these sources? You can quote from books. You can quote from books. Okay, so I'll quickly give you some examples. If you are quoting from a book, if you are quoting from the book, one, you are supposed to indicate the author of that book, the author. That is actually the surname. Write the surname. And then if that author has got the first name or other names, there are people who have got a lot of names, you just actually give us the abbreviations. So, for example, if it's Mlenga Anthony Mwape, okay, so we are going to